What's the Car Talk podcast?
Hello and welcome back to the Car Talk podcast, the last of the season. I'm today joined by Matty, Matty's Cars. How are you doing today, Matty?
Yeah, fine. I'm just doing some Christmas rapping as we speak.
Of course.
Some super crosswords up for my granddad. Because we're filming this the week before Christmas.
Yay! I mean, this is going to come out after Christmas, because obviously I'm lazy. I can't be bothered to edit it.
Empty headphones are getting tied to my wrapping paper here. I might just leave this for now, because we've got a special guest.
We have indeed, and a returning guest as well. Please welcome Daniel Achterhouse back to the podcast. How you doing, Daniel?
Hello, it's an absolute pleasure to be back on. Third time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Third time.
Safe to say you're a friend of the podcast now, I hope.
A regular.
Yes. Well, considering how much we mention you just throughout the year, this year as well.
Well, I know every time you message me asking for what to come on the show, I just know that you're desperate and everyone else has said no. So, got to help the smaller podcasts.
Well, you say that. This is actually a planned episode, because today we're going to be talking about, well, it's going to be a debate, basically,
yes.
Daniel, towards you, and, well, Matty and I can sort of ask you questions, and it's going to be specifically about cycling.
Okay.
And we know what cycling is like for all of us.
Yes.
I particularly hate it, but I'm sure
No,
you have your opinions as well.
No, what this is a cycling debate where it's Bayley versus Daniel, and I'm sort of in the middle as some sort of diplomat who, because I'm not a long distance cyclist anymore, but I used to be. I used to cycle everywhere, and I can act as the diplomat in all of this. But
you're the referee.
I'm struggling as who to decide with, because on one hand I've got my co-host, and on the other hand I've got the Daniel Achterhouse, who, friend of the podcast. I feel as though it's only been a year since you were last on, maybe a little bit less, but I feel like I've watched you grow, watched you blossom through your teenage life, and it's getting a bit, but anyway,
it's obsessive. It's getting obsessive.
and also Bailey's left the skinny club now, and he's become like a proper beefcake, and I feel intimidated.
Yeah, noticed that. Yeah, lots of topless pictures.
Yeah. No, he's
one of
he's
them.
on the front of Nuts magazine next month. So,
Oh, you're revealing my secret.
Was that going to be your main headline for the Car Talk podcast this month? And great news from the south, I'm hench.
I mean, I was going to mention it, but not in that way.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, then, Matty?
Yes, I'd like to go first. As we know, we've got Daniel Achterhouse on the podcast, who is
really
from the north, and I come with great news from the north this week. Just down the road from me, Ford's Halewood plant has been chosen to become Ford's electric car powerhouse. It's an investment of £380 million that they could have easily missed out on. But £380 million for the first time ever is coming into Liverpool to ramp up EV production of Fords to 420,000 units a year. Of course, the only downside is that we're saying goodbye to the Ford Fiesta, but we're saying hello to investments and jobs for the north. So
that's a miracle. That is an absolute miracle.
Great.
Yes.
Can't believe it. Absolutely can't believe it.
Were you reading off an article there, Matty? By any chance?
Sounded very scripted.
That was the slickest bit of news I've ever done, and I didn't write a single word of it.
That was very good.
No, seriously, that is quite good news, though, to be honest, to see more electric car stuff in the UK, because the UK's car industry has just absolutely collapsed over the past 20 years, and it's nice to hear stuff like that, especially when it's in the north, because the north is better than the south. We obviously know that.
Yes, thank you, Daniel. Yes,
my pleasure.
You win the cyclist debate.
And that's the end of the podcast.
Anyway, moving on. Now, we all know, obviously, your electric cars are the future, apparently.
Yeah.
But specifically, I want to talk about the future for Ferrari, of course. Now they have announced that their next Ferrari, or several Ferraris in the future, will be electric at some point. And what do we think of this, lads? It's just sort of a discussion point of view. They say the next one's going to have 4 motors, 1,000 horsepower, and should arrive before 2026. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? There's no images, unfortunately, because obviously it's just a rumour currently. But
I have the same stance on this as Formula E. It doesn't bother me, but the sort of, it's just the noise aspect, which I've mentioned before on the podcast, that when you take the noise out of it, it kind of loses the appeal to me. I mean, I've just bought an Italian car. It's not a Ferrari, it's a Fiat Brava, so I'm not naturally the target market for a Ferrari, but even so, the appeal has just faded another tier for me. Imagine spending all that money on a car and not being able to, hear the pops, the bangs, the sheer V12 engine roar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Well, I can comment as a Ferrari owner because I've got a Ferrari Panda 100 HP. And we've also got an EOP as well. So I've got like both sides of the argument here, electric and petrol.
You're quite humble, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. I'm not against an electric Ferrari, but I'm not sure. I mean, look at the likes of the SF90. They're little. It's not little, is it? It's massive. But their hybrid supercar with like, I think it's 1,000 horsepower. That is an amazing car, but that's hybrid. It's still got an engine. So to have an all-electric Ferrari is going to be very, very interesting to see. And I'm not against it as long as there is still a petrol Ferrari you can buy. I think it's good that you've got the option, but if it's all electric, 100% electric Ferraris, then I'm not sure. I think you ruin a lot of the excitement.
I definitely agree with that, Daniel, and I think what you said there is totally correct, because I was going to mention that having like a second car that people can go to, they can have a choice of an EV or they can have a petrol version. But just going on to the actual EV Ferrari, I think they're going to nail the looks. That's what I know for sure. I mean, they never do badly on styling for Ferrari. So I think it will look good. It's just whether it will work in an electric form as a Ferrari.
It's the weight, isn't it? It is the weight. Trying to make a car handle really well like a Ferrari when it weighs a lot because of the batteries.
Especially when it's got 4 of them as well.
That's true. Yeah, that is very true.
That's going to be a lot.
That is very true. But
I think that the next thing, I don't know how you'd solve the noise problem, but I think the next thing is creating lightweight batteries and motors, and possibly someone being the first, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first manufacturer to have an electric sports car with maybe 50-50 weight distribution and just, class leading handling sort of thing.
Hopefully their next MX-5 is like that.
Yeah.
Because we've nailed power, haven't we? We can put the power down on the road. We can get a car to move fast down the road. It sounds so cliche, but we can do that now. But with electric cars, with that, we've got the power, but it's like all the gear and no idea, isn't it? We've got the sort of speed, but we haven't got the logistics behind it and all the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what they should do as well. Sorry, Daniel. I'll tell you what they should do as well is they should try and figure out how the batteries can produce more power from just one smaller version of a battery or one battery itself. It's a bit like what the planes are doing at the moment, like the plane, aviation, because a lot of the new passenger planes are purely just two engines now instead of being like the 4 engines. So they've got more power out of one engine, and it's still as efficient and still more powerful.
Yeah, I mean, linking on to what Matty was saying. I mean, look at the likes of Teslas. The only thing they've really got is the acceleration. That is like literally their party piece. Whereas everything else isn't actually very good. But it's just the acceleration that makes it the car it is, and the car that everyone really obsesses over. But I can't wait for more lightweight EVs that are genuinely nice to drive. I mean, I saw on Instagram as well, Porsche are making an electric Boxster, I think they are.
Yes.
And that's going to be really interesting to see. As a fan of Porsche, that really appeals to me, actually.
Matty, have you got anything else you would like to mention for car news?
Yes, I certainly do. Sticking with electric power, I've kind of got 3 headlines in one here, and again, it's another sort of discussy sort of subject. So 3 headlines for you here. First of all, as I think we've mentioned, is that they want to they want to have road tax for electric car users. So that's one thing to consider. So there's one thing to consider here. Then you've got EU confirms ban on petrol and diesel powered cars from 2035. So they pushed it back 5 years, but it's still pretty soon. So there's that to consider while you're taxing people with electric cars. Then you've got the ULEZ zone is to expand into all of Greater London from 2023. So quite a few contradictory headlines here where basically nobody wins.
Pretty much. Like typical UK that is, isn't it really?
Yeah, it's typical, like, okay, I'll left, no, okay, I'll go right, no. It's like we're like stuck in like a maze, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is.
I mean, that
1 step forward, 2 steps back, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with the electric car owners here, where it's don't make them pay road tax, because then if you do, you're discouraging all the people that are getting shat on by the ULEZ expansion, and just the whole idea with petrol cars. You're discouraging people from moving into electric cars by saying there's road tax on them, or taxes and things like that. But at the same time, you're not giving them a choice, because you're putting all obstacles in the way if you drive a internal combustion car. So yeah.
Just, you can't win, really, can you? These days.
No, you simply have to walk.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's quite interesting. I was speaking to my brother, and he was doing this thing at school where he was basically, they were all seeing what their like carbon footprint was, and it gives you like a rating out of 200. 200 being the worst, and obviously 0 being perfectly like non-emission, which nobody
carbon neutral.
Yes, and I think to be carbon like properly good, like carbon neutral, is you have to be about 20. My brother was 60, which to be fair is pretty good, but then he doesn't drive, he walks every day, and that's like decent for it, to be fair. I was wondering what my one would be, and I'd probably be in the hundreds somewhere, because obviously I drive, I'd spend loads of money on petrol.
Well, it's not just that, is it? It's the shoes you buy. It's
it is, yeah. Even it's the food you eat.
Exactly,
all that stuff
everything. At the end of the day,
what bin you use.
Yeah, exactly. Us as humans, we need to eat to work. We need to eat to function.
Basically,
where the food comes
fully
from.
carbon neutiral, you have to be homeless, and you have to be in the wild and just living and surviving.
To be carbon neutral, you need to be dead, basically. That's just the harsh reality.
It is, yeah. That's very true.
Yeah, not a nice thought.
Danny, have you got anything you would like to mention, car news wise?
There is one thing here I've got on my laptop. I remembered at the last minute that we were doing car news, so I managed to get some last minute car news up on here. And it's
nice.
That Hyundai have reinvented the Kona for 2023 with a bold new look. Now, if I was clever, then I would have sent a photo to our little Discord chat, but I didn't. So just try and Google if you can. But I think it looks nice.
I have seen it, yeah.
I think it looks all right. The Kona is just a car. That's all it serves. But I mean, look at the Kona Electric. That's a car that I really like, and Hyundai and Kia are doing amazingly electric cars, and I suppose petrol ones too. So I've got no doubt that this new Kona will be a nice car. It just will be.
Am I looking at the one correctly? It's got that light bar across the front.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
It does look quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty decent.
I'm looking at the interior photo as well, and that looks all quite nice.
Yeah, it's very plush, and it's very not too out there. It's just nice and contemporary.
I know. I love what the Koreans are doing at the moment.
Obviously not in the north part, but
not in the north part. No, not in the north part.
We saved you from getting Bailey saved you from getting cancelled there, Daniel.
You can use that as a snippet on Instagram or something when you're little promo videos. You can just get me saying, I love what the Koreans are doing.
Yeah, we'll clickbait you.
Definitely doing that.
The only thing, and this is a question that's been playing on my mind now almost every night, is what is the difference? Are you familiar with the Hyundai Bayon, which is quite new?
Yes.
No? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes. So what's the difference between the Hyundai Kona and the Hyundai Bayon? They're both the same, and then obviously you've got the bigger one, which is the Tucson, and then the Santa Fe. But just focusing in on them two, they both seem to be the same size car, but
I just don't know, because
they even look a bit similar.
I was walking around a Hyundai dealership one evening for some random reason. It's just stuff I do. And I was looking around, looking at all the cars, and I was going, yeah, they're all right, they're all right. And then I was looking at a car in the corner, and I just couldn't work out what it was. Do you ever have a car that you see, and you just genuinely don't know what it is? I had it with the Volkswagen Taigo, which is their new crossover thing. I didn't have a clue what that was until I had a look. I looked around the back, and it said Bayern or whatever it is, and even then I didn't know what it was. Whatever it is, Hyundai have done a really bad job at making it known, I suppose, because I've heard nothing about it. I don't really know what it is. I
suppose the marketing's not the greatest, is it?
No, I suppose not. I suppose not. I really don't know what it is, and it might be a nice car, but nobody knows because nobody knows it exists at the end of the day.
Exactly. I've got a bit of good news.
Go on, good news. Is it good news from the south?
It is good news from the south, and it's not what you think, but it is from the south still.
Okay.
Well, the local Rolls-Royce garage where I live is having a refurbishment, and they're adding 2 new cars in there. And obviously we've had those 2 cars discussed on the podcast. There were it's the new Ghost, and it's the new other one that I can't remember the name of. And they're coming to the store, the dealership, very soon, hopefully. So I'll have a look around.
Them 2 cars, they're probably going to be worth the same as the investment that Ford Halewood's getting. Would that be right? 480 million.
That is true.
Something like that. 380 million.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. What's any more any planning news about the Lidl, or is it still sort of underway? The former Land Rover factory, Land Rover dealership, is it?
Yeah, I think they're still doing it as a Maserati now, which doesn't make any sense really, because 10 minutes down the road is another Maserati garage with a Ferrari connected onto it, which doesn't make any sense. So just go another 10 miles, and it's because all the rich people go, I don't want to drive my brand new G-Wagon there a bit more because it will burn the fuel.
Yes.
Because they'll be like, I'm really eco-friendly, but then they just drive the G-Wagon, but only eat avocado on toast in the morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I've got another car, and I'm sure you've got this, Matty, and I know Daniel has this.
Yes. Yes. This needs talking about.
It does need talking about. It's a very interesting car from my point of view. It just looks sick.
Yes.
It's a bit of a twister, but you know how Alfa Romeo never produce a car? They finally have. And it's the Alfa Romeo Giulia, which already isn't new. But then if you add this bit at the end, it's SWB Zagato.
What a name! What a name!
It is a cool name. I don't know why I put it in the search engine, because I've got it up on another tab, but I'm stupid. Now this looks like a Toyota Supra, the new one, and an Aston Martin Vantage had a baby.
Oh wow!
And they produced this.
Oh wow!
It looks phenomenal. I think it's one of probably the best looking Alfa Romeos.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be brutally honest,
I hadn't noticed that until now. Actually, Supra and Aston Martin.
I can't see it the same way anymore. The front from a Supra.
I can't see it the same way.
The front from the Supra, and then the back from the Vantage.
Yeah, very. Oh my word! Yes.
But this is it's a full carbon fibre body. It's going to have 540 horsepower from the twin turbo V6, which is obviously in the GTA variant of the Giulia saloon car, and it has a manual gearbox, which is great. Yes. But the thing that lets it down is they're only making one of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this available to buy? It's not. Well,
it's not.
If you're quick.
To the lucky person that has already bought it, they've only made one.
How much was it actually? That one car?
I don't know, but I'd imagine quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's kind of a similar situation to that Disco Volante. I know they made a few more of those, but that was very exclusive, wasn't it? And I think a lot of the Chinese got it for some reason.
Yeah. Wow, I just think it's breathtaking, isn't it? And even I'm not too offended that there's only one made, because even if there was 100, none of us could buy one because it costs absolutely millions at the end of the day. And I don't know, I just think it's nice to see Alfa Romeo show off what they can do, really.
And I think it just makes it more special that it's a one-off as well.
Yeah, I know. I think it's lovely.
You guys are taking the words out of my mouth. Yeah, gorgeous. I love the alloys as well. Remember the old Alfa alloys? Yeah.
It does look like an Aston Martin and a Supra, doesn't it? It's really
weird. That's bedroom wall poster material, isn't it?
That's got to be the highlight of the news this month, isn't it? For
definitely.
Sure.
And Ford Halewood, yeah.
Has anyone else got anything to wrap up the news with?
Yeah, last one from me. A car that you can buy, whether you should or not. Quite another question. Now listen, I still haven't forgiven BMW for what they've done with the front grille design. However, the new BMW 7 Series and electric i7 are here. And if you ignore the face, from there back, it looks absolutely gorgeous, I think. I mean, you take the back of it, the back of it's really thin strip lights, just dead simple, and then the side as well. I think it's since I've had my E46 that I appreciate this a bit more. But you know the what is it called? It's got a special name, like the back window and the way it flick. It's like not Scandinavian flick, obviously, but something like that. Just the side profile of a BMW. Even though this is brand new, it is still as beautiful and as timeless and classic as ever. And the profile of a BMW, I think, just doesn't age. Do you know what I mean? Just the general shape and stance of them.
Definitely.
It's just apart from the front, it is. Just
it really.
like,
do you know what this car is like?
Yeah.
This car is like that. Is like the perfect girl with the perfect body and the perfect hair, and then as soon as she turns around, you go, "Oh my god!"
Oh, and we're on to controversy again. It's a good job we were saying before we went on air that no one was listening to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So no one would have got to this part anyway. So this wouldn't have happened in real life.
Yes.
So it's fine.
Say what you want about Korea, Daniel. No one's listening.
If only Jeremy Clarkson was on this podcast, and whatever he says about Meghan is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Should we go into that to wrap up the news? Is that a little bit too royalist, or should we have an opinion on what Jeremy had to say?
We can give it a mention.
I wouldn't have an opinion on it, because I think quite rightly we all disagree with what he said. Quite frankly, it's a bit too much there. And it's just I've just been reading Twitter comments through it, and it's been quite not interesting, but interesting to read. You know, like to sort of see what people are saying. Yeah. Kind of, I don't like the abuse. I know he's said the wrong thing, but it's like it's just always something to go off these days, isn't there? There's some drama somewhere else, and then go people to move to the next drama. It's like
of course,
get a life.
I just think I can't. I just can't. I don't have enough of an opinion of the royal family to really be able to comment on this. But obviously, anyway,
it's a bad comment.
I think
he should.
I think the interesting thing actually was Emily Clarkson, his daughter, basically saying on Instagram that she completely disagrees with everything that Jeremy said. I think that was probably the biggest insult to Jeremy, really, was his own daughter disagreeing with him.
I know, yeah.
Because
now I've seen comments about this, and it's like, would you think she did it for attention?
I'm not sure.
Or she's just done it generally because I think she's obviously done it for the reason.
It's funny you should say that, because I watched on Drive Tribe a few years ago an interview with. First of all, with Jeremy Clarkson's daughter, Emily, and then one with Richard Hammond's daughter. And Richard Hammond's daughter came off like the most sort of normal and genuine sort of thing. Emily came across a little bit sort of, so take from that what you will. I'm just waiting for the third one, for James May's long lost son. Just can't wait for that.
Well, one of his cats will get into trouble somewhere.
Yeah. Has James May actually ever married? I swear he
hasn't. I think he has.
I think he's got a beard, but he's
right.
he's not married, I don't think.
No.
He's
got his Ferrari.
Yeah, that's all he needs, really, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on to our theme of this month's podcast, which is obviously a debate on cycling, and this is going to be even more controversial than the whole Jeremy Clarkson thing, obviously.
Oh dear.
And Matty, you just need to go and quickly make some popcorn before this debate happens.
Watch it unfold.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just making the most of Daniel saying yes to the podcast for the last time. So
third and final time. Careful what you say.
Well, so where do we start with this then?
It's not me you want to worry about. I'll kick this off, right? Sure. As the diplomat of the debate.
Yes.
I really can see the issues with cyclists that I'm sure Bayley will reel off soon. They're very obvious, but jumping red lights, riding on the pavement, general sort of not reckless in a way, but sort of dangerous behaviour on the roads where you sort of bloody hell, look at that. And I see that, but it just, for me, it has so little impact on myself because I'm in a car and they're on a bike and they're the ones putting themselves at risk, that unless there was any sort of direct impact on me, I really don't care. And, just sort of do what you want to a point within reason, as long as you don't, as long as you really don't crash into someone or run over a child or whatever. But so why? I guess I'll kick it off with my question to Bayley here to get this started. Why do you care so much
about liking cyclists?
About not liking. Why have you got such a vendetta against Daniel?
Not against Daniel specifically.
Yeah.
It's like what you mentioned. It's the whole combination of just them being really, they almost they feel like they own the road because they know that they're annoying people. That's what gets me at the most. It's just look at me on my bicycle, I've got these clothes that don't fit me properly and I'm just in the middle of the road annoying everyone to going to work. It's just it's that sort of thing that just annoys me. It's fine if you want to go out and cycle, but go and cycle in a countryside where there's nice scenery and things, not on a main road. That's and especially in London as well, it's a nightmare with the amount of cyclists there.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand with horse riders. I get a bit frustrated when I see horse riders on the road, and I'm kind of stick to the really, really quiet roads and stay away from the busier A roads. But at the end of the day, horses are animals and cyclists are people.
Yeah.
We're all the same. We're all the same.
Well, you could say cyclists are still animals.
You could say that, yes, you could. We'll have to get a scientist on the next podcast and then, DNA test between a horse and a cyclist.
To properly, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I've witnessed, just things that cyclists do. There's a lot of swerving out into the road whilst I'm overtaking. I don't know if it's on purpose or if it's just generally they're just losing their balance. But then why would they lose their balance? Why would they be cycling on the road if they're going to lose their balance easily?
Yeah.
And it's just the whole holding people up and things.
I've
actually had a situation where I was behind, I think 2 or 3 cyclists, a group of them, and there was one of those big transporter vans in front of me, and I was in my car, and I let the van overtake, and I was going to overtake. It was a slight hill, and there was another van coming towards me. I swerved down, and I saw the van, luckily, and I had to swerve back in. But my point was, if the cyclists weren't there, that wouldn't have happened.
Well, yeah, but the highway code says that they can ride in the middle of the road, whether that you think that's advisable or not. Because I don't understand the thing I don't understand is the whole campaigns and everything for more cycle lanes, more cycle friendly, but you don't seem to use the ones that you've got. Like, and I can give you an example of that where I've been driving to work when I used to live in my mum's, and a huge big cycle lane separated from the road, red with markings and everything, and there's a guy right next to the cycle lane riding on the road. And I'm going, what is the problem with that? So it really was annoying. So my uncle is a cyclist, and I mentioned this to him when I saw him, and I said, "What the hell? Why is that?" And he said, "I know that cycle lane." And you know what his response was to why that guy will have been riding in it? He said, "It's not smooth enough."
Wow.
What?
But then surely the road's more bumpy.
Well, surely a bike's not smooth enough. Like, surely a saddle is. Like, I was speaking from experience, working for Deliveroo on a bike. It's, I could be riding through a nice smooth Spanish road, and I'd still be, breaking me back. Do you know what I mean? Spilling the green curry. Yeah, not getting a tip from my customer there, but yeah, it's It is a strange one. I think the problem is that every cyclist is different and has different priorities.
Yeah.
But so are drivers, and Bayley. All motorists jump red lights from time to time, whether it's on purpose, whether it's
to be fair.
Yes, but we've all went through, and it's a good job no one's listening. But like, we have all, when we've been behind the wheel, either through lack of concentration or stressing or rushing or whatever, and I'm not talking about like a stale red light, but like an amber where you're like, shit, I should have really fucking stopped then, sort of thing. We've all done that. We've all definitely parked on yellow lines and pavements and things like that. So everything that sort of is a bit of a bugbear to motorists when cyclists are concerned, I think we've all done it ourselves in the car, maybe.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the thing you said about like the cycling lanes and things, I think there should be more of them if there's going to be more cyclists, because if they don't use them, I think they should get fined for not using them. Because that would be quite a good method. Create more cycle lanes. If you don't go in the cycle lane and they annoy drivers, then they get fined. And obviously, if the drivers
do you think cyclists should pay road tax then? And have registrations, or
no?
Well, the thing is with road tax, right? Is it's now not even about the emissions, is it? It's about the actual, or is it about the emissions? I can't remember.
It is about the emissions. No, sorry, is it?
Yeah, so it is about the emissions.
Must be.
So I thought it. Yeah, I thought it was.
I thought it was. Yeah, it still is based on emissions, because that's why, like.
It's vehicle excise duty, isn't it, rather than road tax, really?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it is emissions. It used to be based on. Hang on, no, I don't know.
How are we getting confused with this? Because if it's about emissions, then no, because obviously the electric cars don't pay any. So why should the cyclists? But if it's about if thinking of the road tax in terms of using the road and paying for the actual repairs on the road, because I'm pretty sure the tax goes to that, doesn't it? I don't know.
Not anymore, yeah, it used to.
What they should do is they should just get. They should have to pay like
repairing the roads.
Okay, that's annoying. But so let's think of this way then. Instead, let's have a small fee that they have to pay to use the roads.
Yeah.
Yes, but why? That's like paying to be alive.
Yeah, I know, you can't do that to like a 3-year-old that's learning how to cycle. You can't say, oh, you've got to, pay this fee to be able to cycle on the roads.
Well, most 3-year-olds that I see cycling are on the pavement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's heating up now.
I know.
That's exactly what we wanted to do. Daniel, we haven't heard your opinion that much. What are your thoughts?
Well, I am a cyclist, and I've been a cyclist for, since I was 6, so 11 years. And I can see why people don't like cyclists, because I see a lot of cyclists that are absolutely terrible. Some of the stuff they do is just shocking. Riding at night time with no lights, riding like an idiot with buckled wheels and stuff like that. And that genuinely gets on my nerves. But I'd say that 75% of cyclists are perfectly innocent, really. People like me I'll be a role model to cycling. A lot of my friends too. You know, we follow the laws. We do everything right. And somehow that there's still drivers out there that are genuinely not very nice, and have sort of a bit of a grudge against just every cyclist, no matter how good or bad they are. I don't agree with that. But if a cyclist is genuinely being an absolute menace, then that's fair enough. But to hate on all cyclists is a bit of a generalisation. It's a bit like hating on all BMW owners, maybe, if we can link it to that, when some of them are perfectly innocent. It's not all of them. So I don't know, it's a difficult one. It's definitely a difficult one, because since I've started to learn how to drive, I've definitely recognised cyclists and how they can be a pain. The frustration, definitely being stuck behind a cyclist, and sometimes you can't overtake, so there is that. But I'm still a cyclist, so I can understand from their position. It's a really interesting one. It really is, especially in this country, because you go to like the Netherlands, a place where I am half Dutch, so I've spent a lot of time over there, and the whole situation, the whole opinion around cycling is completely different. Cyclists are the king of the roads in towns and stuff in the Netherlands,
isn't it? Yeah.
And here's the complete opposite. So it is interesting. It really is.
It is.
What would you say a cyclist is, Bailey? Would you say it's one of those, enthusiast Lycra guys? Would you say it's a chav, which is, I think you guys call it a bruv over there in the south, like a bruv doing wheelies and things? Or is it like a woman cycling to the office on the bike to work scheme? I don't know if you have that over there either, but yeah.
Well, specifically, when I'm talking about cyclists that I don't like, I'm usually talking about the ones that go out just for fun and then just do it to in big groups of people.
Talking about Daniel's whole channel.
That's just
me. I forgot about that. No, I didn't mean like that. You know, like people that properly like dress up and like pretend that they're part of the Tour de France.
Those bloody cyclists
that's still
that
me,
go out
still
for fun to Hyundai dealers.
Is it still you?
It's still me. I think it's great.
I'm very sorry if I offended you.
I think it's great. I think there is not much better than having a Sunday afternoon where you're sat there with nothing to do and going, you know what, let's just go out and let's just go for a nice cycle and do.
But why wouldn't you go for a drive if you're bored instead?
Because I've got a license.
Well, when you get a license, I think you'll find that you probably will drive more.
I definitely will. I definitely will. However, one thing I would like to do, whether I do it's another story, but one thing I would like to do is, say, put my bike on the roof and drive somewhere nice, do some cycling, and then put the bike back on the roof and then drive home. Because
so that's acceptable.
That's acceptable.
Because that's
I don't cycle to commute because I live. It's 10-minute walk away from college for me. All the shops are down the road and everything. I don't need to cycle. I can completely just say no to cycling, but I enjoy it. It's a big part of my life. It's a hobby. So I wouldn't just stop that. It depends what you're into, I suppose. I mean, you can compare it to football. I hate football. I absolutely hate football. I think it's awful. But a lot of people like it, and I recognise that. And I don't really see how
there are a lot
different.
of corrupt aspects of football as well, being a footballer and everything, So everything is corrupt, basically, but in a way. But I don't know. I think, what else have I got on my notes here? I think, that's exactly what I was going to say. So coming back to my point, I guess, where I have the stance where I just don't care, and I just think cyclists should just do what they want, because if they get in my way, then it's a couple of seconds, maybe minutes of my day. But if you look at it statistically, there are no statistics for the wrongdoing of cyclists, and that's simply because the police don't crack down on anything that is sort of any sort of road laws that cyclists break, red lights, pavement abuse, etc. No lights on the bike in night. They don't generally do anything about that. And so there's no statistics for that, but what there are statistics for are road accidents. And deaths on the road, and only I think 3 out of 1,700 deaths a few years ago were to do with cyclists. One quite notably, the guy who was riding with no brakes and ran over that woman. Now, if you think about it, then the police won't crack down on cyclists breaking rules because rules are there to keep everyone safe. So if the cyclists aren't really doing any damage in the first place, then why would the police give them the time of day? And then, similar to that, as soon as this cyclist, he was like a 20-year-old guy who was riding with no brakes, ran over this woman and killed her in London a few years ago. As soon as that happened, it was like front page news, and like the press and the social media, everyone was going crazy, and it generated such a huge amount of hate and anger for cyclists. But car crashes and deaths and everything to do with cars happen every day, and there's a reason why it's not reported on. But I think, to be honest, Bayley, cyclists do get it in the neck a lot more than us drivers.
Yeah, that's a fair point, to be fair. It's just I think the police should do something about, like, the red lights and things, like when they drive through the red lights, because, like, if anything, that's endangering not themselves but also the other drivers. That should be. I think that should be enforced, personally, because it's like everything else waits at the lights. Even motorbikes do. So why should cyclists go through the red light and be perfectly fine about that?
I know.
That's the one thing that gets me the most.
That gets me too. That does get me too. I think one thing police really need to crack down on is electric bikes and the illegal ones, because we've got an e-bike and it's completely within the law. Because we're not going to risk breaking it. So what makes it
illegal then?
I was going to say, what is illegal?
It depends on the power of the motor, the speed with the assistance. So, for example, our legal, we've got a Cowboy 3 electric bike, and that basically, the electric assistance cuts out when you get to about 17, 18 miles per hour to make it legal, and then it is just you. But you see,
you can rig them then.
You see the illegal ones that sometimes have throttles too, so you don't even have to pedal. At that point, it becomes an electric motorbike, and people are riding them without insurance and a license or anything like that. And the police do not care. They do not care at all. I mean, I've seen all sorts of, people riding obviously illegal electric bikes, and police just drive by and they didn't even give them a second look. And it's like, that is quite obviously illegal, but they just can't be bothered. So I don't know. I think that definitely needs to be, realised as an issue, because some of the really high power illegal electric bikes can cause a lot of damage, especially in the wrong hands. So that gets my nerves a bit, because
that's a whole nother ball game, isn't it? Where because cyclists are generally the most vulnerable people, even though they're going the slowest, because they're just naked, basically. They've got no protection other than a helmet if they choose to wear one. But when you've got an e-bike, you're just, especially like a one that's illegal, you're really, really, really putting yourself in harm's way.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I get both sides of the like the cyclists and stuff, to be fair, and I always have, and I've sort of like, I mean, in the summer it's bad around my area, but in the winter I kind of forget about it because it's like no one's cycling. So a lot of the time I'm just like, I don't really care about it. But it's when it's in the summer and it's literally like every day I'm going somewhere, and there's like a group of cyclists literally in the whole lane, and it's like, well, this is going to be really annoying to pass them, and it's quite dangerous on some of the roads they actually ride on as well, because there's a particular road around me, and it's quite a nice country road. It's a national speed limit as well, but it's quite twisty and turny. It's a very thin, narrow sort of road as well. So if you get like a big van or a truck coming down there, it's really tight both sides. And I've seen lots of cyclists go down there, and it's quite painful to just overtake them safely.
It definitely is.
I think I'm sure you'll agree with this, Daniel, now that you're doing your driving lessons, but I think from being in the saddle and then being in the driver's seat, you see both sides of it, because I remember from riding through Liverpool city centre at night doing Deliveroo with me lights on. I used to have 2 sets on top of the suspension forks, 2 on the handlebars, and then like one like clippy on torch that was a speaker as well. So I felt clearly visible, and then on the back as well. And I used to, this is in the days like early Matty's Cars, my YouTube channel, early videos where I put those bad driver videos and cyclists.
I remember those
hell videos on. And I used to be so angry because I'd be riding my bike and like someone had like either cut me up or pull out and that, you know, blah blah. And I'd be like, they can clearly see me. They're horrible. They hate me. And then you're in the car and it's at night, and you know, you've got cars these days as well that they've got blind spots and things like that. And you sometimes, I mean, I've never hit a cyclist or, you know, really caused them to, you know, nearly fall off the bike or whatever. But there has been close calls, I'm not going to lie, where I've went to go, got a quarter of the way out of the junction, went shit, and, you know. So I when you're on the saddle and then in the driver's seat, you do see both sides of it, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, it's a bit like motorcycling as well, I suppose. If it is a thing as well. If you have a motorcycle license, when you go to apply for your car insurance, if you state that you're a motorcyclist, I believe your insurance goes down because they know that you're going to be more aware. So that's a very similar thing with cyclists, I suppose. You might just say that.
Yeah, I might just say next time when I get my renewal, I'm actually a motorcyclist. Can you lower my insurance by $5,000, please?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm a motorcyclist and I'm a woman, please.
Yeah, that's another thing. That is another thing.
It will be stored on a driveway overnight.
Yeah.
Just never will.
No.
I think, does that wrap up the debate?
I think so. I think it's quite a successful debate,
mostly
actually.
Everything.
I think it was educational. I do have an analogy to sort of end this off.
Sure.
It's more aimed at you, Bayley. You know, to sort of, you can take this home to think about, you know, sort of thing.
Homework.
But going back to my point where I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, whatever, do what you want. It doesn't really ruin my day. Is that I was Christmas shopping the other day. Oh, well, I was. And then, you know, my mate said, I'm in town if you go for a drink, blah, blah, blah. And we had a stop for... we bought a coffee and then stood in Williamson Square in Liverpool, a very, very glamorous part of Liverpool city centre, not. But we just stood there having our coffee and had a bifter and that. And it is notorious for pigeons, and as we're having our coffee, these pigeons keep coming over and we're moving away and, you know, shoo, blah, blah, blah. And then more come out, and then it just constant until you finish your coffee, you finish your ciggy, and then you move away, and then the pigeons aren't bothering you anymore. That's what it is like driving.
Yeah.
When you see cyclists, they bother you for all of 2 seconds, few minutes at tops of you're going down a narrow road and you can't get past them, and then you just carry on with your day. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
I suppose that
completely
is
agree
a
with
good
that.
point.
Completely agree
good
with that.
analogy. So that is, I think that wraps up the debate, doesn't it, on the cycling, the cycling debate, basically.
The big cycling debate.
Oh, yes.
It is. I mean, I think it went a lot more chilled than I thought.
Yeah, I was, honestly, I didn't want it to be not chilled, but I was expecting sparks to fly there, and I'm glad that I didn't have to step in, you know.
I've been containing my inner cyclist anger throughout the whole... Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because I think now that I've been driving for a while, I think I've just sort of I think I care less and less every time.
Yeah, pigeon analogy.
It's literally the pigeon analogy. I think as you mentioned, I think I still don't like some of the things they do, and I'm sure Daniel can agree with that as well. So I think actually we're on the same page, which is good news. And that is that's the good way to end. What a bombshell that is. So yes, thanks for watching this podcast. No, I haven't done the socials, have I yet? God, this is the last one of the season. I'm still messing it up. Matty, do you want to plug your social medias, even though everyone knows what it is by now? But
you all know what I'm going to say. If you would like to see more of me, then I have my own channel, Matty's Cars, on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram, Matty's Cars YT. And if you'd like to see pictures of me on my Christmas night out, you can follow my personal Instagram, Matsgram99. You should have done Daniel first. He's the guest.
Yeah, well, I forgot about that.
Very rude. Very rude.
Forgot he was here.
Daniel, I'll edit it so you're first, and then Matty's after.
Okay.
No, I probably won't.
Nice complication. If you're really bored and you want to watch the stuff I do, then I'm on YouTube as well, Daniel Drives, and I actually reviewed Matty's Fiat Brava, so that's something you can check out. And I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well, at DanielCars05. If you want to see sort of the stuff I get up to in my day-to-day life. Involves a lot of Fiat Pandas, so there's a little warning for you.
Nice, thank you, Daniel. And obviously you can subscribe to us on the channel right here, now.
What's it called?
Bell Car Culture.
That's it.
Grantine.
It's been like
BEP Productions.
God, that is really old. That's like proper 2017 sort of territory there. And obviously you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram because we post some very inspirational car things.
Yes.
And those are Car Culture Club YT for TikTok and Car Culture _YT for Instagram, which I still can't remember every time we do it off by heart.
And if you're watching this in 2024, this used to be Car Culture and it is now called, well, it's 2 rebrands later now, but yeah.
It's now just the Daniel Drives fan page. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It'll probably be called the Daniel Drives podcast at this rate. Anyway, thank you for watching and listening, and we'll have a good Christmas. Well, it's already been Christmas, so you can't have a good Christmas. We hope you had a good Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year for a new season.
See you next year. Not next year, this year. Christmas.
Yes.